Hello everyone, it's Ange de Lumière. I'm coming on live for my fourth and last video on business spirit guides. So it's your chance for you to come and ask me any questions that you may have about them. I've done already 3 videos that you can find on the pin post. So the first one was what is a spirit guide? The second video was about why would Steve Jobs want to work with us? Yesterday's video was about how do spirit guides help us, and today I'm going to talk about do spirit guides have to be famous to work with us, or how to work with famous business guides. Well, just on the subject of who's likely to come and work with you. And I want to share the fact that first, when I started working with guides, I wasn't actually aware of who was working with me. And it didn't really matter. Names didn't matter. And in reality, they don't. Most guides, when they're of a very high vibe, don't necessarily want you to know who they are. Because when you start thinking about them, that might actually be an obstacle to you accepting to work with them, or you might have some preconceived ideas about them. And I can say that the moment that Steve Jobs actually became more open about who he was and showed me his identity, I actually told him to go away. I was really, really annoyed. I didn't like him. I didn't want to work with him. So my whole ego and all the preconceived ideas I had about him when he was human, when he was on Earth, came in the way of actually me working with him. So, you know, sometimes people say, I want to know who my guides are, this and that, and I'm going to say it's not necessarily a good thing. What's much more important is that you call in the guides that are right for you for now, and also the guides that are right for a specific job, because I can hear Steve Jobs laughing about the job thing. Because the thing is, it's a little bit like friends. You know, they say you can have a friend for a life, for a season, or for just a day. And that's exactly the same. You could have a specific task that you work in your business, and one particular guide would be perfect for that task. But if you keep on asking for a specific guide because you know their name and you know they work with you, then you might not have the right person come and help you, because you're interfering with the highest good, if that makes any sense. So it's much better to just keep an open mind, not necessarily focus on personalities, because actually personalities don't mean anything in the spirit world. So even though I keep on referring about my main business guide, who's Steve Jobs, he's not Steve Jobs anymore. This was just one of his incarnations. This was just one of his personalities, and he came to do a specific job on Earth with that personality, with all those compounds. And of course he came to learn some to grow and expand, and well, I suppose we also come to experience joy and all sorts of things. So by focusing on one person too much, you actually stop yourself from benefiting from all the help that's available for you. And this is something I'm going to discuss in my webinar on Monday. You'll be able to ask me any questions that you want. But what you really want is to make sure that you work with the perfect person for the job, and focus on that only, and let go of expectations, let go of who is the best person for the job, because our mind is deceitful. Our mind is limited in a way. We put these blinders. We want a certain things. We want a certain outcome, even for a certain activity that we do in our business. But our guides have a much bigger picture. They might ask you to do something because it's an experience that you need to have that is going to help you with the next step. They might not have the outcome that you expected, and then you might feel disappointed. But all that is always because your mindset is well, I'm not going to say wrong, because I don't like the word right and wrong, but your mindset needs some work. So if there's one thing that is the most important, I would say, when you work with the spirit world, is to have an open mind, and to let go of what things should look like, let go of who should come and help you, let go of what it's supposed to feel or materials like, and just accept things as they are and trust. the faith is incredibly important. And I'm not saying like blind faith, but it's just like this feeling that sits inside of you that everything's okay and that things are going according to the bigger plan, if it's not going according to your specific plan. And I'm going to give you a little example of what happened to me that was quite painful actually, from my fragile ego. Because I was asked by my team in heaven, I'm going to call them like that because I don't know who exactly suggested this, to launch my memoir 2.5 years ago, so to write it and launch it, and I did a crowdfunding campaign, and it had actually a disappointing outcome. So I turned to them and said, why did you ask me to do this when the outcome was so disappointing? But I can see with hindsight that this taught me more about what it takes to run a successful crowdfunding campaign than it would have if I got it all right in the first place, if that makes any sense. So I know now with laser clear clarity if a crowdfunding campaign would be the right thing for my clients who write books for their business and how that would work for them. So that's quite, it was actually an incredibly useful learning curve, even if it didn't have the outcome that I expected. So do business guides have to be famous to come and help us? This wasn't really the right question to ask, but this is the question they asked me to start with. There might be some famous people who want to work with you, but it's actually probably going to be putting you off more than anything, because if you're anything like me, you'll wonder why they want to work with you. You won't understand, you'll be questioning it. So that's why in the beginning I actually didn't get any names for years and years and years, until I was ready to hear those names, until I was ready to have worked enough on my mindset and on my ego to understand how this was maybe going to trip me. And I'm going to share the example of a client, and I'm not going to share her name, but a client who was contacted by Abraham Lincoln, and when it happened, she thought it was just a crazy thought, and she discarded it immediately, exactly as I did with Steve Jobs. I was like, this is a crazy thought, I don't even want to entertain it. So sorry, if this happened to you, just park it for a while. It might come back until you feel more ready. Maybe ask the universe to prepare you or give you a confirmation or a sign. Is this true? Is this right? Or is it my imagination? Because this is what I went through, and actually I appreciated working with a mentor who was able to confirm, and this is something that I do with my clients as well, is that I can see, and you know, the work with intuition and the work with guides, very often all you need is confirmation. Nobody's going to give you groundbreaking information that you never thought about, but the thoughts seemed too crazy, or they seemed too far off, and so you discard them. And this is how intuition works. You have to be really careful to capture it exactly when it happens and to act on it. But this is just an introduction to this topic, so you understand where I come from and how much I can help you work with your business guides. And if you want to have a first-hand experience in the context of a webinar, I'm running my first webinar on how to connect with your business guides on Monday at 10 o'clock UK time, and I will post the link to sign up for this webinar below this video or just above. And I'm just going to have a quick look at the slides because I want to describe to you briefly what the whole webinar is about. So we'll talk about the benefits of working with spirit guides. We're going to talk about the fears that come up when you first work with the spirit team. We are going to also talk about the 5 steps of how to connect with them, and then we'll do a guided meditation where I'm going to support the energy with me and my guides to help you connect with your main business guides. And this is what I wanted to explain to you a little bit today as well, is that I posted a couple of days ago on my page that I appointed Steve Jobs as my general manager, because I actually have a host of guides that come for different things. And I don't want to be calling one in particular if they're not the right person. And if it's come to a point where actually for me it's become a bit too overwhelming to have to think who's coming to help me. And so it's quite good to have a main business guide that's gonna almost like manage your spirit team for you. And I'm going to share with you as well something that happened this week, which I think I shared on my page as well, because I'm now much more open about everything that happens, is that I actually have a guided meditation that I created over the months that I've been working on this process, where I walk into my headquarters. So I have a very clear picture of what my headquarters look like for my business, which is really another way to say it's the energy of my business. And when I walk in, there's like a lobby, I can see a receptionist, there's a feel to it. And at the back, there's my meeting room. So I have a boardroom, and that's where I went yesterday. I walked into my boardroom, and there was an oval table, like in a normal business, and all the guides, well, I identified a lot of them, but there was probably more than I could see or I could feel. And I had a proper board meeting. Hi, Stephanie. Stephanie helped me with this by holding the space, which was wonderful. So, you know, you can treat it just as a board meeting for your business. Then you call in your guide. And then this is what I'm going to do on Monday. I'm going to take you through a guided meditation where you're going to meet your main business guides, and then you can hold board meetings for your business exactly as you would something normal. And I think it's really important to look at it this way, because work with guides can feel a lot too airy-fairy, too fluffy, too out there, not practical enough. But if you set the intent that you're really doing this for your business, then it grounds the energy and it becomes much more practical. So thank you for those of you who are watching this video. I hope to see you on Monday, and I'm going to wish you a wonderful weekend. Bye for now.